our mid-unit 5 test corrections, and we're going to be starting with problem number 5. So I need to write an equation for the line below. They give me a graph and some answer choices, and I need to write the equation. Looking at the answer choices, think about what form we want our equation to be in. Take a moment, pause. Did you pause? So I want my equation to be in slope-intercept form. And what exactly is slope-intercept form? Go ahead, take a minute, write it down. All right, slope-intercept form, it's slope and then the y-intercept. So y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. So first thing you can look at is the y-intercept on the graph. In this case, it crosses at 40, so I can immediately plug in what I know. So y equals mx plus 40. Now I need to calculate my slope. So I decide, instead of choosing that point that I had originally chose, I'm going to choose this point. So I went from 40 to 10, so that is negative 30 in my change of y's. And then I went over 3 units. So negative 30 divided by 3, that simplifies to negative 10. That is going to be my slope. So you can choose any point on the line, and when you simplify it, you'll still get the same slope. So I'm going to plug in what I know now. Y equals negative 10x plus 40. I'm going to look at my answer choices. Do I see it? Do I see it? Of course I do. The answer choice is D. Yay! Now let's proceed on to problem number 6. Hector designs banners for businesses. He charges according to the graph below, which includes a base fee for the design plus a charge based on the area in square feet. Now, if Hector changes his price per square foot to 10, what will change about the graph? So let's see. Right here we have a base fee charge, and we have a charge based on area in square feet. So let's think about our slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And let's think, what is our base fee going to represent mathematically? Is it going to be my slope or my y-intercept? Take a moment. Hopefully you said it was your y-intercept. So let's look at his base fee. Where it crosses the y-axis, his base fee is 50. Now, let's look at the charge based on area in square feet. So, his base fee is 50. If he does if the area is 5, then he charges 75. So what I'm trying to find is his rate of change, which is going to be up by 25, and then over, so plus 5. A lot of you guys, for some reason, wrote 1, probably because you just went up 1 on the graph, up to the right on the graph line. But really, you have to make sure you're looking at the units. So it actually went from 50 to 75 and from 0 to 5. So your rate of change, or your slope, is going to be 25 over 5, which simplifies to 5. So he's going to be charging $5 per square foot. Now it's saying if Hector changes, let's rewrite that in our equation, 5x plus 50. Now it's saying if Hector changes his price per square foot to $10, what will change about the graph? Do you think it's going to be your slope Or do you think it's going to be your y-intercept? So instead of $5 per square foot, it's going to be $10 per square foot. So the new equation would read y equals 10x plus 50. And hopefully from your unit on linear transformations, you'll realize this changes the slope of our graph, which makes it, hopefully you can read the answer choices and figure it out. But in case you do not remember, what you can always do is plot it. So at 0, the base fee is still going to be 50, and then at 5 square feet, instead of charging $75, it's going to be $100. So I'm going to go over here and plot my points. And for 10 square feet, it's going to be $150. So I'm going to come over here and plot my points. And this is going to be my new graph. So what did you notice about it? Hopefully you noticed that the graph got steeper. So when your slope increases, your graph gets steeper. That's it. Answer choice is H. So now we're going to work on problem number 7, which asks, which equation below does not graph the same line as y equals 3 over 4x plus 3? So these are answer choices, and we're just going to try and figure out basically if these are the same equations or not. So, for example, look at option A. Is that the same? Does it look similar? Is there anything different? What can you do in order to manipulate your equation to look like that? Take a second, try it out by yourself. Pause the video. Okay, so looking at this, we can see that there's a plus 3 and y is isolated. However, now in option A, y is not isolated. So in order to move plus 3 from one side, or in order to reduce it to plus 0, which is what it is right here, I can subtract 3 from one side, and what I do to one side, I must do to the other, and that leaves me with y minus 3 is equal to 3 over 4x plus 0, which is option number A. Therefore, it does graph the same line. Therefore, it is not the answer we are looking for. Now, let's look at option D. If you'll notice on option D, both the x and y terms are on one side, and there are no fractions. So how can we manipulate our given equation, y equals 3 over 4x plus 3, into looking like this? Take a moment, pause the video, and what's the first step you could do in order to get both the x and y terms on one side? Go for it. Hopefully you're back, and the first step that you did is subtract 3 over 4x from both sides. And you'll notice you get y is equal, y minus 3 over 4x is equal to 3. And like we said, there were no denominators in this problem. So what's the next thing you can do in order to make sure all the coefficients are integers? Pause the video, try it out yourself. In order to reduce 3 over 4 into not being a fraction, you can multiply by 4 to both sides. Doing this, you get and make sure you distribute the 4 to everything on both sides. So you get 4y minus 3 over 4 times 4 is 3. X equals 12. Now looking at this and this, we're very close, but it's not exactly the same. So what can we do? Think about it, pause the video, try it out yourselves. Alright, hopefully you're back and you've realized that this is actually positive 12, and in this problem our answer choice leaves it as a negative 12. In our answer choice it's a positive 3x, we have a negative 3x, over here it's a negative 4y, this is a positive 4y, so what we could do is multiply or divide the entire equation by a negative 1. So I am going to divide everything by a negative 1, and I'm going to be left with negative 4y plus 3x is equal to negative 12. I can rearrange this to look like my answer choice. I can have 3x minus 4y is equal to negative 12, meaning our original equation and our answer choice do graph the exact same lines, so I can cross out this option. Let's look at answer choice E. We have y equals 3 over 4 times quantity x minus 0 plus 3. So hopefully you can immediately see what the difference is between our original equation and option E. And you'll see that it is that minus 0, which makes our equations the exact same. X minus 0 is still x, so we're left with y is equal to 3 over 4x plus 3. They're the same equation, they graph the same line. That's not what we're looking for, so we can cross that out. Now, let's look at answer choice C. If you'll notice, there's a negative 8 and a plus 9, and many of you immediately will be like, oh, there's no way you can go from this to option C. I'm just going to circle that one, call it a day. However, it's always wise to check every single solution, or every single option. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to distribute my 3 over 4, which leaves me with y is equal to 3 over 4x minus 3 times 2, so negative 6 plus 9. Now you'll see, we can simplify this even more. We'll be left with y equals 3 over 4x, negative 6 plus 9. That's a positive 3. And there we go. That is the exact same equation that we were given, which is not what we are looking for, so we can cross out option C. Now, a lot of you will be like, oh, look, option B. That's the answer. It's always wise to double check and make sure. If you'll notice, we got a negative 3x plus 4y is equal to 3. If you'll remember, over here on this problem, we got 4y minus 3x equals 12. So we have a negative 3x in both, a positive 4y in both. However, in this equation it equals 3, and in this it equals 6. So now we know for sure this is not going to be the same equation. It's not going to be the same graph. So my answer is C. Yay! Now let's look at problem number 8. It asks, which of the following statements is true about the function y equals 5x plus 4? Notice it said which of the following, which means it could be more than one. So option number 1 says it is perpendicular to the line y equals 1 over 5x plus 4. Now, let's look at our given equation, and let's determine what the slope would be if a line was perpendicular to that equation. Take a moment, pause the video, calculate the perpendicular slope. When you're back, hopefully you'll notice I wrote a little hint. The perpendicular slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal, which if we look at option A, the reciprocal of 5 is 1/5. However, we need the opposite reciprocal, which means the opposite of a positive 1/5 is a negative 1/5, which we can see that is not the case, so therefore we can cross out option 1. It is not perpendicular to this line because it is not the opposite reciprocal. Option number 2 says it is a linear function. Do I have a constant rate of change? Yes, it's in y equals mx plus b form. I automatically know it is indeed a linear function, so yeah. Option 2 is a true statement. Number 3, it is steeper than the parent function. This implies that we know what the parent function is, so take a minute, pause the video, and write down what the parent function is. Alright, hopefully you wrote down that the parent function is y equals x. Now, in order to be steeper, does my slope have to be bigger or smaller? You tell me. Take a moment. Yeah. As my slope gets bigger, my graph gets steeper. So the slope of this function is 5. The slope of my parent function is 1. 5 is greater than 1. Therefore, yes, it is indeed steeper. So obviously, let's look at option number 4. It said it is less steep than the parent function. We just determined that it is steeper than the parent function, so we can cross out option 4. So we're looking for the answer choice that gives us 2 and 3 as true statements. That is option J. And that's it for this video.